Hello, and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast. I am a woman on a mission to help you get the Zettelkasten of your dreams on your work table beside you. Well, we're still in the Pre-Zettelkasten series, and we're working today again on structure. And we're in the second choice that might give you structure, which is setting up foundation cards. Last time we looked at using categories, which were drawn from a pre-existing category list, either something that you created or something that you downloaded from a source. I have one to get you started. I don't have any great claims for it being the greatest of all. It's just to get you thinking about how you might do categories. Well, today we're going to take a very different approach. We're going to build up foundation cards. And it'll be a little hard for me to go into too much detail until I actually show you what this process looks like, because this is an activity more than a topic. So come on over and let's see how foundation cards happen in a Zettelkasten when you choose to use them for your structure. Okay, so here we are with our second choice, which was using a foundation card. Now remember, we always begin with a question. Is there a conversation your new card would like to join? When the answer is yes, your new card will always get its number from the card that represents the conversation that it's joining. Last time we went over how those numbers are formed. We'll take a look at them again of this lesson just for a review. So this will always be true with every system. If there's a conversation you're going to join, then you will get your new number effortlessly from the conversation that the new card is joining. What differs now with foundation cards is what happens when you answer no, there's no conversation at all, or when you answer maybe, there's kind of a conversation here that I maybe could join, and that's where we're going to pick up today. What do we do when we have one of these two answers, no or maybe? And we're going to bear in mind the rules that we laid down when we introduced foundation cards initially. A foundation card is going to turn out to be a main card, and that means it's going to have all the features of a main card: a thought or idea, your reaction, a tagline to capture it all, our source, which will usually be just us, a date, and we'll show where the number comes in later. That's the point of the lesson today. So let's see how main cards can act as structure in a Zettelkasten. Now last time, one of the cards that we used was this one that had a tagline: conversations occur in a Zettelkasten wherever you look. Well, because our Zettelkasten is completely empty at this point in time, what we did with categories was we looked up a category for it, which I arbitrarily chose it to be within conceptual art, the art of the Zettelkasten. I made that up and created categories for all of the categories that got down to my new category, the art of the Zettelkasten. Let's see how that process works when we're building structure from foundation cards. Okay, I'm blotting out our category-based card number just so we won't be confused by it. And here we are with our card that is looks like it's fairly deep into a conversation, but it's all by itself. It doesn't have any conversation to join right now. So what we're going to do in our foundation card is we're going to create a card that it can converse with. This is rather specific: conversations in a Zettelkasten. Maybe we'll want to bring a new card that is a little more general. What if we wanted to join it to a tagline that went something like this? So the thought that we might express that's more general might be to say that conversations in a Zettelkasten capture relationships between the ideas on the main cards. Because this is a main card, I need also to provide my reaction to this thought, even though I'm the one that came up with the thought. You'll see in a moment that it's actually a different kind of a thing. A reaction is often about a feeling or how it relates to me personally, whereas the thought or the idea is generally more objective. So now I've added the reaction that conversations are fun, engaging, and energizing. Since the source is me, I'm going to make a note of that down where the source goes. Okay, I've noted that it's a personal reflection from today. And because my personal reflection includes the date information, I'm not going to write the date over here. It would be redundant. But I do have one more thing I do need to do, and that is I need to give my card a tagline. So here's the tagline that I've added. Conversations are energizing. They capture related ideas. So now I have a conversation started. Conversations occur in a Zettelkasten wherever you look. Conversations are energizing. They capture related ideas. Okay, these two cards are related to one another. That's pretty clear. And this one is a little bit more general than this one. I'm not sure that I would still call this the total foundation. I think I would like to bring it up a little bit and maybe talk about a Zettelkasten in general. So I'm going to make another foundation card that brings in the Zettelkasten to this idea of conversation. So here's my thought that brings it up to another level. A Zettelkasten is a process by which ideas can interact and grow into a body of knowledge. Okay, so that's a thought. Now I need my reaction. Okay, I added the reaction. Surprises await as the Zettelkasten grows and expands. So now I need to finish out the card with the source and the tagline. Okay, here's my completed card. A Zettelkasten is a process that is full of surprises. Okay, now I'm feeling that this is the completed foundation. This is the beginning of a whole topic of its own. So I'm going to launch my topic with card number 1. Now this card has a conversation it can join, and we know how to give it its number now. You start with the conversation number, and then you follow the rule. If it ends in a number, you add a letter. Well, now this card also has a conversation that it can join now. This card is ready to join with this one. So again, it gets its card number from the conversation. It always starts with the number of the card that it's joining, and then it extends it. If it ends in a letter, it adds a number. So now we've got one whole chain from our basic foundation through kind of a bridge foundation and into our most detailed information that we have in our Zettelkasten right now. Let's try one of the other cards that we used last time when we were working with categories. We worked with this card with the tagline, "Strive for ideals, don't measure by them." And this came out of a business book. So we chose from the categories list, 2400 for business. And under that, we felt that 2420, purpose, goals, and philosophy would work quite nicely. And business came under social studies, history, and philosophy. And so we had these categories, and this was the first card in the category. Later on, we came up with another card that also fit that category. Know your why and test against all decisions. Because card 1 was already taken, it got card 2 in that category. Now let's see how it differs if we're using foundation cards. I'll get rid of the category number so we won't be confused by it. Now this new card has some possible cards that it might want to join because we already have 3 main cards in our Zettelkasten. That's part of the fun of having a foundation card. All 3 of these are main cards, and so this new card has 3 chances to find a conversation that it wants to join. Well, except that it doesn't. There would be quite a stretch. So we're going to build a new foundation for this card. Well, we know what this is about. This is about setting goals and measuring our goals, measuring our performance against our goals. So the foundation card that we're going to want to make next would probably bring the idea of goals into this, which is more general than this specific rule. So here's an idea that we can add to act as a bridge idea. Goal setting helps us achieve our aims by providing the opportunity to measure our progress. So that's our idea. Now we're going to add the reaction, the source, which is just me again, and the tagline. My reaction: measuring progress keeps me accountable and encourages me when I meet my goals. Okay, so here's my tagline. Goals can help achieve aims and can provide encouragement. So now I've got a conversation that our card can join. But it's probably not all the way up to a foundation yet because this is just about goals. What could we put in there that's a little bit more general? Well, for me, because this came out of reading a business book and my thoughts were in the area of business, I'm going to go up to the idea of a business because that's what's going to be relevant to me personally. That's one of the advantages of a foundation card. You're not stuck to a pre-planned list of categories. You're working with things that are personal to you and the foundation that you want to establish in your Zettelkasten. And here's my reaction. Being your own boss can be a recipe for lax performance. So I've given it now a tagline: business goals can aid success and guard against lax performance. And our conversation is growing very coherent. We could stop there, but we probably want to go one level higher and just pick something that's specifically about business. So this is my highest level card. I hope to establish LiLLiPub on a sound business foundation. Even a service-oriented company needs solid business practices. And here is my completed card with its tagline: as a business, LiLLiPub needs sound business practices. Okay, so this is now a new foundation. Foundation number 1 is already taken, so this one will have to be foundation 2. This card joins this conversation. It extends it quite naturally. So it gets its number from the conversation it's joining, and because it's ending in a number, it adds a letter. Now this card has a conversation it can join, so it gets its card number from the conversation it's joining, and because it ends in a letter, it extends with a number. And this card now has a conversation that it can join, so it gets its card number from the conversation. Then because it ends in a number, it extends with a letter. And here's our whole chain. Our new card got this solid foundation set up for it. Let's see what happens when we bring in another card. This is the card we played with yesterday as another card on business. Know your why and test against all decisions. Well, let's see what conversation it might want to join. Does it want to join this one? Well, it could, but it would be a little bit of a stretch. Maybe. Let's try some more. Oh, now this one is looking pretty good. Why's the business why is a lot about. The business why is very much about its goals. Its goals are set to fulfill its purpose, and its why is its purpose. Ooh, this one is sounding like it might go together. How about this one? Is that even better? Oh, yes, because our why is our aims. So this fits even better. And in fact, this card would very much like to join this conversation. Okay, so it's going to start out with the conversation number. And because it ends in a number, we're going to add a letter. It would like to be 2A, 1A, but that one's already taken, so it has to become 2A, 1B. And now let's look at that completed section. And let's take a look at the fascinating conversation that we see played out in these cards. As a business, LiLLiPub needs sound business practices. Business goals can aid success and guard against lax performance. Goals can help achieve aims and can provide encouragement. Strive for ideals, but don't measure by them. And know your why and test against all decisions. Isn't that amazing? You could almost write an essay just based on these cards. You would have to do a little filler words, put an introductory paragraph. It almost writes for you. And that's why they say a Zettelkasten is a writing machine, because you see this in front of you and you just feel like you want to share it with the world. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed learning how you can build foundation cards. Foundation cards are rather arbitrary. You make them up. You start with something that's maybe too detailed and it maybe needs a bridge before you feel that it's well established. And these are some general rules that you can use. You start with your main card where it is. You go up one level of abstraction so that you've got the start of a conversation that the new card is comfortable participating in. Then if that isn't up to the level of a foundation yet, you just keep adding cards until you get to a subject matter that you say, yes, that's a subject matter that's going to be a foundation in my Zettelkasten. I'm going to be wanting to study this topic. Then it all numbers itself. Once you make these simple, basic decisions, all of the numbering takes place by itself, effortless. No matter which system you end up using for organizing your Zettelkasten, card numbering can be absolutely effortless. We're not done yet. We're going to cover the third choice, which is fully organic, and then we're going to talk about what else we have to do to track where we are with our Zettelkasten. And we're going to be learning about some new types of cards that we're going to be adding, and then we'll be talking about how do we find our cards again. So we've got a few programs to go yet before we're done with our overview of numbering. So stick around for the rest of the series. Bye-bye.